Okay, so let's talk about Layla's training so we can stay consistent at home. So when we're working with Layla, we want to reward the behavior she does correctly to increase the rate of those behaviors, and we want to use the training tools to correct the unwanted behaviors or when she doesn't listen to our commands so we can follow through and stay consistent with her. So let's dive into her training equipment. So whenever she's on a leash, I recommend you walk her with her prong collar. So right now the prong collars that we have in stock have this quick release. I don't recommend using it because it is very easy to take off, but it is not easy to put on Layla this way. So if it does fall apart like this because of the quick release, what I recommend is putting it back together, oh my gosh, this way. And then just trying to not use this. Instead, you can take it apart through the links. So what you'll do is you will hold a link steady like this, and then this link has to go down. So you're going to put it parallel and you're going to push down and through. It's about technique, not strength. Then to put it back together, so we put it around Layla, and then we squeeze this prong back into the one in front of it, so it lines up like that. You can't pull it through the top, you have to snap it in. So you can't pull it through like that, it won't fit, and then it gets all twisted. So you have to squeeze these together and put them in that way. So with the quick release, what I recommend is also having a slip collar on Layla. This is to make sure that if this quick release accidentally goes off, she is still going to be on a lead. So if my hand is Layla and let's say the quick release accidentally goes off, you're going to have her on both leads attached, so then she's still on the slip collar just in case the prong collar breaks. So I'm going to put that back together, and then we're going to talk about how to use this. So you're going to use it in a pop and release motion. You're not going to have consistent pressure on the collar because then it's like we're telling her that she's doing something incorrect. We're only going to use this as needed, and you'll see examples of that in the video when she went on her field trip. So the leash is attached to both. The slip collar is just a safety net, so when you tug the leash, it is a quick pop and release, not a pull. Quick tug and release of the leash. That way we're telling her, hey, you have to listen to the command. If you don't, there is a little consequence, but if you do, we're going to reward that. So let's talk about loose leash walking while we have the prong collar out. So if you take her for a walk, 85 to 90% of your walk should be in the heel position. The other 10 to 15% can be in a free where she can sniff and walk around. So in the heel position, she has to stay next to you on the left-hand side. When she's doing a good job, we're going to tell her good heel and reward with either praise, petting, or treats. If she decides to walk too far ahead or too far to the side or get a little distracted, we're going to tell her no, pop the leash, remind her heel. So we're telling her, hey, walking in front is not heel. Here's a little consequence to remind you to walk next to me in the heel position. Then we're going to go over how to use her remote collar. So let's turn her remote collar on because you're going to use these two together so that eventually you can fade away from using the leash and you can primarily just use this when you're working with her. So the collar itself has a little red dot. The remote has the matching red dot. It is a magnetic key to turn on the collar. This is so there's no button, so she can't scratch her neck and then turn the collar off, and then we can't follow through with our commands. So we touch the two together, we're going to see a green light. That green light's going to flash every few seconds to let you know that the collar's on, charged, ready to go. Then on the back of the remote, we have the on-off button back here. We're going to push and hold that until the screen lights up. Then we're going to focus on the black S button for Layla, and it is at level 20, so we're going to pretend my hand here is Layla, and we're going to talk about heel again. So when we're on a walk, she's walking next to us, great, no leash pressure, no need for the remote. She gets a little distracted, she starts to walk ahead. So walking ahead is going to eventually lead into pulling again, and we don't want that. We're going to say no, push the button, and then tell her heel. We don't want her to get reactive or anything, so we want to make sure that the leash is nice and loose, because sometimes barking at other dogs can come from feeling tension on the leash. So it's called leash reactivity or boundary frustration, and that's what leads to barking. But if we have a nice loose leash and a nice polite walk, we can reward her when she's passing by other dogs so she's not barking at them. But if she starts to walk ahead, that will lead to pulling. So no, button, heel, no, heel. So you'll do that for every command. When she breaks the command or doesn't listen to you when you ask a certain command, you're going to say no, heel, no, heel. That way you follow through and you let her know that, hey, when I ask you a command, I'm serious. When you do it, you're going to get rewarded. If you choose not to, there is a consequence for that action. So then let's talk about sit. Sit means stay until she's told free. We practice this with door manners. So we tell her sit, we open the door. You have two options. You can either remind her to stay by saying sit again, because stay is implied, but she does need a reminder every once in a while. So we just repeat the stay command that she's in. So for example, sit. You can either walk through the door and then tell her free to go through, or you can tell her sit, open the door, and then tell her heel and walk through the door together, close the door behind you, and then go for your walk. It's up to you. If she breaks the command before you say free, you just tell her no, push the button, sit, or give a little tug of the leash upward. And then if she does a good job, obviously praise and reward. So then we have down stay. Down means lay down and stay. So you'll see a great example of this at the store. When we tell her down, when we want her to stay, we remind her down, because that's basically saying stay again. The reason we don't use stay is because it's implied until our dogs are told free. So we don't want to free her from a distance. We want that stay to be really strong. So we remind her down, we do our distraction. When we go back to her, we tell her good down, reward, and then we tell her free. So free is the release command of you don't have to be in that command anymore. You can get up from that down stay. If she gets up from the down before you tell her free, no, push the button, and then pop the leash in a downward motion down. You're going to remind her it's always no, follow through with the correction, give the command again. And then when she does a good job, we're going to reward that command low. And then when we're ready for her to get up, we stand really close to her and we tell her free, again letting her know she doesn't have to be in the down stay command anymore. Down and place are very similar. The biggest difference is place is on a boundary and she doesn't have to lay down on the place bed. She can sit, stand, or lay down as long as all 4 feet remain on the boundary. So when we reward her for being on place, we put the treat on the bed to let her know the boundary is what's rewarding versus actually giving it to her from us. So with place, it's great when having guests come over. That way you can put her on place. Your guests can come in without her getting all overly excited and jumping. If she gets off of the place command, no, place, and then you might have to help her back on with the leash. So I recommend using the leash in the house for the first couple of days while you're practicing these new commands, so it's easy to show her what she needs to do with a little leash guidance instead of just using the remote by itself. So then when she does a good job, we reward on the bed, and then when it's time for her to get off the place bed, we go to her, tell her good job, praise, petting, treats, and then we tell her free. We don't free from a distance because that creates a really strong stay. She basically knows that she has to wait for us to free her instead of us being 10, 15 feet away, and she's like, oh, I know this, and jumps off before we're ready. So we always go back to her, reward, then release. Then we have come when called. So whenever you're practicing come when called, I highly recommend having a long leash on her as a safety net. This is just in case she doesn't listen to your command. You have something to reel her in with. So when you tell her free, she is free to sniff, explore, kind of do what she wants to do in a sense of as long as she's, remaining in your space and within eyesight. She can sniff and explore, go to the bathroom. When you want her to come back to you, Layla come, or just the come command. As she's running towards you, you praise that action because we can't throw treats at her. So you want to praise the action of her running to you, take a few steps back to invite her into your space, have her sit, then we give a treat. We always reward this command because we want to build a strong reward history with Layla coming back to us when called. A reward history is basically getting positive feedback over and over and over for doing a certain behavior. So we really want to build a strong reward history with come when called. If she chooses not to come back to you, no, come, repeat the command, and guess what? You still reward her when she comes back to you. Because the correction happened out there, we are still the fun zone. You still came to us when we called. You're going to get a reward for that because you got the correction out there. With all the other commands, you don't say no, give a correction, then immediately reward. You have to wait a little bit until she does it right, and then you can reward the command later. But for that one, she got it out there. She still needs to get rewarded when she comes back into your space. Then we have leave it. Leave it just means don't touch that on the floor. Practice with dog safe foods when you do practice this at home. So drop a piece of food on the floor, tell her leave it. If she does, great. No need to feel the collar. Same thing with all the other commands. If she does the commands, she does not have to feel the collars at all. If she chooses to not leave that piece of food, button, leave it. Because you don't have to say no, leave it. Leave it can be the correction term in itself. So again, practice with dog safe foods when you're working with leave it. So those are Layla's commands. What you want to do is you want to have fun when you're working with her, stay consistent, and now we're going to show you Layla's commands. Heel. Down. Good girl. Down. Good down. Good down. Good down. Good down. Good down. Good girl. Down. No, you gotta wait. Down. Free. Good girl. Good girl. Good heel. Going on. Good girl. Leave it. Good girl. Okay. Breathe in. Good girl. Okay. Okay, look right there. Little thing. Leave it. That one bounced. That one bounced pretty far. Good job. Good job. You're such a good girl. You're such a good girl. Breathe. Go place. Go place. Good girl. Place. Okay, so let's go over the other features of the remote collar. So we know how to turn the collar on. Let's show you how to turn it off. So it's the exact same way. We're going to take the two little red dots. We're going to turn this collar off. Red light means it's off. With the remote, the on-off button in the back, big circle in the middle, we're going to push and hold that until the screen is blank. So we're going to turn that back on. This should last about 2 days on a charge as long as you turn it off at night. So Layla should wear this all day, every day, even if you don't plan on using it that day, because we don't want her to become collar savvy. Collar savvy means she knows when the collar's on and she only listens with the collar on. We want to prevent that. So it's kind of like wearing a watch. We wear it every day and eventually we just kind of forget it's there. So we want her to have the same feeling. She can't wear this 24/7. It does have to come off at night. So 12 to 14 hours a day, take it off at night to charge it. This is going to help us be able to follow through with her at any time during the day when we're working with her. So I have this quick bungee strap, really awesome, and it has this bungee so that it's not going to be too tight, but this does have to fit pretty snug on Layla so that the contact points make connection with her skin so she can actually feel the collar. So whenever she's wearing it, you can put it anywhere underneath. I recommend every few days switching it to the other side. That way she doesn't get a pressure spot on her neck. This is waterproof, so she can go swimming with it on, she can go out in the rain with it on. However, you want to make sure that you take the collar off to let her skin dry. Because this fits snug, you want to make sure that moisture doesn't get in there and build a bacteria, which could lead to a hot spot. Especially with short hair dogs that are a little bit pitty, they tend to have more sensitive skin, so we want to make sure we avoid a pressure spot from the collar, like a hot spot. So let's go over the other features of the remote. So this red button is for emergencies only. Have not needed this yet for Layla, but if you watch closely when I push the red button, it is going to add 20 to the level on the screen. Why would we use this? We would use this in case Layla took off after something and now has put herself in a dangerous position. Let's say we're practicing with her and we've trusted her at this point. We've done a lot of practice and we have her off leash and she takes off after a squirrel or something and she's heading towards the road. We call her back to us. She's not listening. We've corrected with the black S button. It's not working. So what happens is level 20 works when her adrenaline is right about here. Well, when she's chasing something, her adrenaline spikes up here and level 20 only matches here. Well, 40 should reach that and kind of snap her out of whatever she's chasing, call her back to you. So it's for emergencies only. Have not needed it for Layla, but you have it just in case you need it. So try not to push that red button unless you absolutely have to. T button over here is vibrate. I use this to make sure that I have actually turned the collar on because we have this little magnet. You could easily touch it and turn the collar off without even realizing it. So I turn the collar on, push vibrate a few times, and then I put the collar on Layla. Then down the road, once you've established the training at home, you can use this as a warning. So you're going to need this for however long it takes her to respect the commands and really want to listen to you while in training. So that's a balance of rewarding her when she does the right thing and using the tools to correct her for the unwanted behaviors. Then back here, the on-off button is dual purpose. So we have a flashlight feature for Layla. So if you push and hold it, you'll turn the remote off. But if you just tap it, you'll turn a flashlight on so you can actually see Layla at night. Tap it again to shut it off. So it's one tap for a flashing flashlight, another tap for a solid flashlight, and then another tap to turn the flashlight off. This little M/C button, you don't have to worry about it. It changes the mode from momentary to continuous. Basically, if I push and hold the black S button, no matter how long I hold my finger down, it's only going to give that momentary stimulation. That's what we use for higher levels. We use continuous for lower levels. Basically, for continuous, I would push and hold at a really low level just so she can barely feel it. Ask her to do a command. As soon as she does it, the stimulation goes away and she gets a treat. So we introduce this in a positive way, and we pair the stimulation of this to treats. That way it's not scary in the beginning. We don't want this to be scary. We just want it to be high enough to let her know that, hey, you have to listen to the commands. So right now, level 20 is working for her. Can her level change? Absolutely. How would we do that? This dial. So right now it's locked into place so we don't actually accidentally turn it too high or too low for Layla. So how to unlock it? We push and hold. The 1D is flashing. Now we can turn it down, we can turn it up as needed. So, like I mentioned with the red button, her stimulation level can change with environment stimulation. So if at home 20 seems to be a little bit too much, she's flinching from the collar, we need to turn it down to 15. If you're having to use 20 over and over and over and over again, it's probably not enough in that setting, so you're going to want to bump it up to 25 or 30. And it can change also with maturity and time in training. So we turn it back to the one we want, push down and hold it. That way it is set and we don't accidentally turn it too high or too low. This is rechargeable, so I would charge it, if not every night, every other night. Make sure you turn it off at night. These things are both waterproof, so make sure that this little rubber tab is closed. That way you keep the electronics free from dirt, debris, and moisture. And then I've gone over everything here. It does have a charger in the box, so you can charge both the remote and the collar at the same time. This is the original strap that the collar came with. It doesn't have a bungee, so that's why I'm not the biggest fan of it, but you can use that. The instruction manual is underneath here if you want to go over all the buttons in greater detail, but we did cover everything. And then this is the tool to tighten the prongs on her collar. She doesn't have long hair, so she doesn't need the little extenders that come with it. And then this has a 2-year full warranty, so if anything happens to the collar within the next 2 years, you can call this number or contact the company and get it replaced. So that's how we're going to stay consistent with Layla. We're going to use these training tools to let her know, hey, you need to listen, not just at the training facility, but here at home and wherever you want to take her out on adventures. So have fun, stay consistent, reward the behaviors you want to see, correct the ones you don't with the tools, and then let me know if you have any questions.